Thank you, Mr.
Hearing
Chairman.
none, we'll turn to the president.
Okay. Well, good evening. First, I'd like to update the board on the vice presidential searches. We actually earlier today, this afternoon, talked to one of the candidates, a second of three, so we've completed the process for 2 of the 3 finalists for the Vice President for Administrative Affairs. The final candidate will be here February 5th. As for the Vice President of Marketing, Innovation, and Research, to date we have 56 applicants, and it closes February 1st. So the search committee will meet on February 4th to begin narrowing down the pool of candidates, and that will be moving along. And they hope to start the initial interviews the week of February 22nd. As the chairman mentioned, we're preparing for the National Legislative Summit, which is February 8th to the 11th. I will single out Nick Calieras on this. Nick, where are you? I saw you. Okay. So Nick helps organize this as our external relations and legislative affairs person, but I don't know that I should mention this, but he actually is on the governance and legislative group for the AACC and ACCT, right? So he actually helps prepare the national papers that they use as talking points for the trustees. And he's one of a number of people, but he reviews that and puts that in. So thought I'd mention that for you all. So we know we're getting good information because he's helping develop it nationally, and that's what we share, of course, is the positions.
So is he responsible for the green sheet?
Is it the green sheet or it's the other one? You do the white sheets, the policy.
Well, I work with the AACC and ACCT to kind of talk about some of the issues. I participate in some of the legislative summits that they have online. We talk about, but no, I don't develop the green sheet.
Thank goodness, huh?
Well, I mean, we're lost without the green sheet, so
Yeah.
it's always good to get the green sheet when we're in Washington, so we know what we're talking about. And it's nice to know that we have some input in it.
So we have appointments already set up with Congressman Dole and Holtren, and then we'll see the staff member for Peter Roscom, and then ICCTA is working on the meetings with Senator Durbin and Kirk, so we'll let you know as soon as those are scheduled. And then you should have provided at your place the NLS packet that includes the itinerary and the legislative white paper that I spoke about and other information. Okay. I want to talk for just a minute about something that's on all our minds continually, is the whole community college funding and the updates. So the presidents have been talking, and I know the trustees are somewhat involved with this also, about whether we should approach our legislators about a funding bill for community colleges. And so we're just starting those discussions. I called around to our legislators and found that there was some general support for that. Not everyone, but some general support for that idea. We're going to meet in Bloomington Normal this Friday. Everybody's going to compare their notes. We're going to see if there's enough support for that. So I don't know if any of the trustees want to comment on that, but for us, I've been telling legislators this, it's the difference between a balanced budget and a budget deficit, because we won't have the time to make the corrections we'll need this late, and it'll probably be the first time in the college's history that it's run a budget deficit, but that's what we have a reserve for, and we'll have to adjust next year's budget, of course, which will be a very different budget around these scenarios.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
We've asked, if you can, as the trustees, as the elected official, to reach out to your own legislators and put together some talking points for you. If you can, make a personal phone call to your own legislator, just to make sure, legislators, making sure that it's on our minds, and have a conversation with how it is affecting the budget at CLC, and will affect it more so if we don't get this funding done. So I asked each one of us to contact the legislators.
I think we'll know more after Friday, and then I'll let all of you know. But some of you have strong relationships with some of the legislators, obviously. So we'll get you that information next week, and you can start to do those calls or contact folks in general. And then
If you give
just
us the talking points, can we just
Yeah.
split up based on who we know and who we deal with, and we'll take
Support that,
responsibility
yeah.
for it?
Yeah. Well, let me see if anything's really going forward too, because on Friday, if there isn't enough, I mean, it's always,
Were you talking about the bill, running a bill? Is that what you're referring to? Have the trustees talked to the folks in Springfield?
It was part of the agenda at the last meeting, which unfortunately had a conflict and I couldn't attend. So, but no, yes, there has been a discussion.
Tom Ryder
Tom Ryder's been part of it.
So do you
yes.
know if any legislators have been approached by it?
Yes, no.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is, I think the way we're doing this is the presidents are going to call around and do a kind of a roll call, and then we'll see if there's enough interest. And we'll be talking with the ICCTA, which is Tom, and then if we see there's enough interest to go forward, we'll start to pursue that, and then we'll let you all know if you should reach out, how, and we'll get you talking points and all that. But let's just see if they're there. Now, it's always good to remind them that this is a hole in our budget if you see them.
Yeah, well, we have that information. Now, you're talking about a bill, perhaps, that we
Yeah.
could additionally talk to them about.
And I don't know, if, I read the report from our government relations consultants that talked about this also and put all the points on that as to whether or not we go forward with that. And I think all the community colleges that do have those kind of people in their employ should be working with them also.
Yeah, they have, and our folks, Cheryl Axley and Al Ronan, were on the phone call a week ago when everybody was talking about this and whether we wanted to go forward. So they're involved, and I called Cheryl once this week and just put another call into her. But we'll see. In my call around, it was really some very good support. Where folks said, yes, I'll sign on to support community colleges. It's enough if we can get to it. It needs to be bipartisan, So that'll be the thing we'll have to indicate.
So I wanted to ask a question on this topic for all of you, because in the materials that we were furnished, McHenry County College took the position of not supporting the MAP funds that the students didn't get, is what I recall from what I read. And it said that they were instead steering their students toward other scholarship opportunities. That seemed to be a pretty minority position to take. And they were just saying, well, there's other opportunities for our students, so we're going to just do it that way. And I thought, whoa, I mean, what our decision was, I thought is going to really end up being probably a cash flow decision, and not interrupting, students in their course of study. It makes a lot of sense. But I'm also thinking that if there are other scholarship opportunities, we shouldn't ignore that as another avenue to look into. So I just wondered what anyone else thought about that. I mean, I wouldn't want to take that across the board approach. We didn't. And, we all we shouldn't, but I thought it just did represent something to think about.
Well, we've been trying to work our scholarships to kind of target how we do those, and had we known that this situation was going to keep going, everybody said this is going to end in December, then January and February, we probably might have done something different. I'm sure that McHenry, I don't know what the status of their foundation is, but they may, with their own scholarships, be able to cover that amount. For us, it's $800,000. That's almost what we give out in a year. So,
They're looking at outside, not just from their foundation. They're looking at
well, telling people to go out, there are these small scholarships you can get.
But if I may add, McHenry a couple of years ago put into place a scholarship program, the Promise program, in which they already had lined up business and industry to pay for scholarships to students that hit a certain grade point average and graduated from a local high school and would attend McHenry for 2 years. So I think they were already in place to do something like this where we have not been.
All right, well, that's a good segue into the point that obviously this is an area that we need to focus on.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I will keep you informed on how that goes with the funding. It's obviously a big issue for us. We're talking close to $8 million. It's a big chunk of our budget, operating budget. So, the February, just speaking of finances, the February board finance retreat is coming up at February 2nd, and we'll be sending out those materials in just a couple of days. We'll have the 3-year financial plan and our internal audits, and we'll be seeking your input on budget strategies. And it's a much more unique and interesting situation than we usually be presenting you, so much more challenging, particularly around the tuition issues. So we'll get that information out to you, and we'll have that discussion next week. Just a couple more things I wanted to mention is the 32nd Annual Salute to Gospel, February 27th. This year's theme is Student Success, Achieving Our Goals and Reaching to Greater Heights. And the featured guests include Paul Porter and Bishop Walker from Brooklyn, New York. Dr. Kerrigan has graciously offered to make remarks on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the President. And then finally, enrollment trends. So we're coming up to the magic 10th day census, and it looks like we're going to be down about 4.8% in college level headcount and about 5% in credit hours at the college level. Now, overall, we do a little bit better because adult education and some other minor areas are up, so 4% down in heads overall and 3.3% credit hours, so the credit hour totals. It's a trend we need to start reversing, and that's why we're gearing up. In fact, tonight we'll have a couple of presentations, and one of those is going to be on the accountability report, but we're going to focus on the issues of marketing and market share and some of the data we collect.